Everyone, and welcome to this afternoon's news break. This is news break 38, and I'm very pleased to be here this afternoon with Karen Stewart, NSA whistleblower, whom everyone probably knows at this point in time. She has to be the most famous whistleblower in history because she's whistleblowing on something that is absolutely mind-blowing and earth-shattering that the rest of the whistleblowers haven't yet got onto, and that's the targeting, the extrajudicial targeting of people, the wrongful watch listing of people, and the hitting of people with microwave weapons, directed energy weapons of different kinds, and all sorts of programs of COINTELPRO, etc., to go with it, something that obviously other whistleblowers haven't been speaking as much about today. So I'm so pleased that Karen is here to talk about this latest news, and that has to do with a judge in the Eastern District of Virginia, Anthony Tarango, ruling that the terrorist watch list that has been amassed by the FBI and involves millions of people, wrongfully placed on it, no doubt, is unconstitutional. So big news, and welcome, Karen. What are your first and immediate thoughts about that?
Well, thank you for having me. And I would like to thank Vicki Yardley for pointing that out to me. She jumped on it, sent it to me immediately Friday. And my first reaction was, hallelujah.
Yes, really.
This is a cornerstone. I mean, you cannot get past the fact if it's unconstitutional, it's got to collapse.
Absolutely. And isn't it astonishing that the people who brought this lawsuit, actually had been treated extremely badly? If you read about some of their travails, the 24 people who were represented by the Council on American Islamic Relations had been subjected to very bad treatment at border crossings in particular, kept on the no-fly list without being told they were on the no-fly list, etc. Did you have a chance to explore all of that?
I explored some of it, and they were treated abominably, but they weren't hit with directed energy weapons or viciously slandered, or not nearly as badly as we have. And they were treated badly enough that it was outrageous.
Correct. And this is the distinction, I think, that's kind of remarkable, actually, because those people who were represented by that lawyer at CARE, etc., reported bad treatment at airports with the TSA, etc. I mean, literally being handcuffed and thrown into cars, being prevented from entering the country, missing flights, things like that. But they have not reported directed energy weapons, as you point out. Now, this whole phenomenon of being hit with directed energy weapons, I know you and I have gone over this innumerable times, but did you want to kind of, in a nutshell, encapsulate it for those people in America who might possibly not have heard of this phenomenon, where people are being wrongfully targeted, thrown in this watch list by the FBI, the DHS, and then being subjected to this kind of covert assault with electronic weapons?
Well, at this point in time, we're not quite sure whether we're on the watch list, because this article talked about 4,600 or so Americans being on the watch list, other than the hundreds of thousands or a million of non-citizens, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, that's ridiculous. We have got to be numbering in the hundreds of thousands, if not low millions, for the number of people being subjected to slander and libel campaigns, which set us up. And that is what encourages people to jump on the bandwagon, the vigilante fusion center-led InfraGard vigilante bandwagon, and convinces them that basically some of the things I've heard people say is that the justice system isn't working quite right, so we're taking care of the bad people that it's missing, which is absolutely ludicrous. I mean, there's a reason that history teaches you that vigilantes are a bad thing, because they're emotionally immature. They jump at the slightest rumor. They don't look for evidence. They don't look for logic. They just are emotionally immature and violent people. And they often hang or murder innocent people, so we're looking at that right again. Here we are yet again. Somebody says, somebody of a certain ethnicity or religion is out to kill you, so we're going to kill the Baptist or the Buddhist or the Zoroastrian next door to you. Does that make any sense? No, and it doesn't make any sense to even go after the people they claim are hostile to us. unless they have proof. That is what the American system is founded upon. And the Fourth Amendment says that you basically have the right to be accused publicly of something, know who your accuser is, be able to confront them and see what evidence there is so you can provide counter evidence, or you can investigate where in the world did they get that idea. That is basic to our founding principles. And yet this is exactly what is not happening. You know, the Fusion Center decides that they're going to call you a child molester or a traitor or a terrorist with no evidence. I mean, Obama in 2013 basically brought the level of proof needed for putting someone on a watch list down to less than probable cause. What is that? That's nothing. That's a wink and a nod. You know,
I do recall that, and I think Comey has made some statements as to when they put people on the known or suspected terrorist list, there's some species of evidence or indications to them that makes them feel that this person needs to be on the list that may not come up to the level of being shared or being spoken about, etc., or that can be deliberately laid out in that many terms, but that which is part of their own private determination. In other words, they kind of took that power for themselves to place just about anybody and everybody that they liked on the terrorist watch list. And as we know, considering that both you and I have been treated as if we have been on the terrorist watch list for the past how many ever years, it's been 6 years in my case, and in your case,
about three in regard to the second phase of stalking that was not directly, that NSA was not directly involved in the actual stalking, but they were involved.
Right. And when you do these FOIAs to the FBI, etc., you don't get back any information because they act like, a classified secret agency invoking these secrecy laws. And they say, well, GLOMAR responses. We can't confirm, we can't deny, we can't tell you if you're on the list. We claim Section 5, etc., exemptions from, disclosure and so forth. So they've been doing this not just to you and me, obviously. They've been doing it to hundreds of thousands and indeed millions. I was looking at that Newsweek article again, and it says that the federal government's watch list of known or suspected terrorists. Now, this obviously is sitting side by side with the other watch list that you mentioned, right? The 4001. That's probably the terrorist watch list. And then this one is the KST, the known or suspected terrorists. And this contains over 1 million people.
Outrageous. I mean, I saw statistics a while back that said that as far as people they know are terrorists across the world, there's like 184,000.
And what the judge wrote in his ruling is precisely what many of us have been saying for a long time. There's no evidence or contention that any of these plaintiffs satisfy the definition of a known terrorist. And I guess that's sort of what Comey was referring to, the definition of a known terrorist. People may not satisfy the definition of a known terrorist, but it's okay for us to keep them there. Well, I guess this judge says no, it's not constitutional and it invades people's rights. However, I understand that this is not sort of a final ruling, right? I mean, this case is still, there's still more to come.
Well, what the judge right now, what I read was that he is looking for a remedy. All right. He has decided that this is definitely unconstitutional, but what is it we do about it? What does he instruct?
Just sharing the Newsweek article.
Okay. What does he instruct the government to do? Mm-hmm. So he is asking the people affected, and that would be the people in the lawsuit, for remedies. What do they think needs to be ordered? What does he need to order the government to do to remedy the situation that they have been putting people on the watch list and harassing them, at the very least, mm-hmm. for years, and it was totally unconstitutional. And of course, we know from Norton versus Shelby, the Supreme Court ruling, that any unconstitutional law is as if it never existed. It's null and void. Plus, if you follow an unconstitutional law to someone else's detriment, you can be held liable. If it's criminal activity, deemed criminal activity, you can be prosecuted. So this is a whopper of a decision, a real whopper.
Fabulous. And so let's hope that there will indeed be repercussions from it. I'm looking at the paragraph that says that the judge rules that the terrorist watch list violated due process because there was no clear standard for people to be included or removed from the list. And in fact, this list is distributed throughout the US government. I think the number on the lawsuit was like 18,000 agencies, government and police agencies, sent to foreign governments. About more than 60 foreign governments have some kind of agreement which permit this kind of information to be shared. And so this is incredible, isn't it? Because what it does is it kind of vindicates and validates what so many people, including you, have been saying for a very long time, Karen, that people have been thrown on this watch list who have no business being there, people who have no business being accused as terrorists,
Exactly.
And